Islam, 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 and welcome to Moor's Heritage and History School. This is your host, Anita L., and along with my co-host, Cujo Adwa L. Islam. This week, or I should say today, it is just Cujo and I, RVBey and Ms. Rahim Aleph Il will now be joining us because they are traveling, and but they will be back with us next week. And also, I want to also let everyone know at the beginning of the show, there will not be a Sons of Allah this Thursday. Let's see, let's get the date. That's this Thursday, the 18th. The Sons of Allah is going to broadcast next Thursday, the 25th, all right? So we will make sure and put that up on Facebook. Emails will go out, and you will also see it on the upcoming shows on the Moorish Heritage and History School Blog Talk Radio. But I just want to make mention of that right now because if I don't do it now, I might forget. And I will make mention of it again before the show, and for anyone that might be tuning later. So with that, I want to let everyone listening via internet, the chat room is open. Thank you so much for our family listening, or a big shout out, I should say, to our family listening over in Great Britain, Japan, Great Britain, Japan, South Africa, the Philippines, and the brother, and for the Moors listening over in the Netherlands, I have to send a special big shout out to Albacet. Am I pronouncing it right? Albacet over in the Netherlands.
Islam.
I have got to send a big shout out to him. Talk about, and Cujo said it, talk about if you're the only one, be the only one, that brother. He is the epitome of if you are the only one, be the only one. He is over there, the only one, studying, persistent, tenacious. Nothing is holding him down.
That's a good word right there. Tenacious. That's a good word. That's a good word.
Yes, I have. Yes,
tenacious. That's true.
Yes, I just had to send a big shout out to him. Also, for our callers, thank you so much for listening every week, filling up the call lines before the show even begins. Thank you so much for joining us, lending us your energy, building together with us. Thank you, thank you, thank you. All right, so what we're going to do right now is every week we make a public announcement of Moors that we have been made aware of who have been kidnapped and are being held hostage. What that means is a lot of people are not aware of that. We, as a people, as a nation, we're just now catching up to the fact that a lot of all of these counties, cities, township, and boroughs, they are nothing more than private, for-profit corporations. And, the other day I had like within the last 24 hours, I had a huge epiphany that we'll talk about on another broadcast, but it's a huge epiphany. And I'm going to tie it all together so that we can all see the connection. But all of these county, city, township, boroughs, they are all corporations, contracted. They're not government. However, they are kidnapping the people off of the land, and they're demanding income from them in order to keep their business that does not produce a product or service going. So we start out with our sister RVBey, who was kidnapped through a joint venture between Memphis and Shelby Corporation under the purview of Tennessee, Daoud Il under the purview of Amir, Muslimin Il and Kusu Ra Kushbay under the purview of Missouri. Before I continue, I just want to let you know, if we have the county corporation's name, we make mention of it. But if we don't, then we just mention the union state that these corporations are obligated to answer up to. So with that, we have Asar Patar Amin Ra Bey under the purview of Ohio, Jeremy Taylor Il, Terry Thorne Bey, Jamie Cal Brooks Bey, Joseph Kennedy Il, Kush Amir Bunch Il, Emmanuel Billings Bey, Yassin Khalik Alamin Il, Michael Curry Bey, all kidnapped under the purview of North Carolina, Noble Crisco Il under the purview of New Jersey, Messiah Aziz Il and Crystal Il, both kidnapped through a joint venture between Mercer Freehold and Trenton Corporation under the purview of New Jersey. We also have Patricia and her infant baby, as well as Malik Ilbay, kidnapped by Atlantic Corporation under the purview of New Jersey. Eldridge Terrence Il, Marquise Bebihon Il under the purview of Indiana, Solomon Ilbay and Mooney Abu Bey under the purview of Texas, William Barrett Il under the purview of Virginia, Omani Avidil Il, kidnapped by Chesapeake Corporation under the purview of Virginia, Chere Bay under the purview of West Virginia, Thomas Lee Bay under the purview of California, Victor Eduardo Awaye Juarez Il, kidnapped by Harlem Corporation under the purview of Georgia, and Daniel Napier Cox Il, kidnapped through a joint venture between Allegheny and Pittsburgh Corporation under the purview of Pennsylvania. Those are our Moors, kidnapped or being held hostage. If you know of a Moor or a family member that has been kidnapped and you would like to have them added to this weekly public announcement, send an email to MHHS-Eyes Wide Open at gmail.com, and we will add them to this, and they will we'll add them to the list and make an announcement each week as well. All righty. I think that is it for those announcements. Let's jump right into our broadcast. I was having a conversation with someone this week, and something was said that really triggered it in my head, and I was like, this is an excellent subject matter to discuss. And it doesn't negate anything, but I thought it was very enlightening. Prophecy doesn't have to be fulfilled, If we study and overcome our lowest selves, we can overcome prophecy. You don't have to be forced to make change. Surprise, surprise, you can change on your own, before the hammer comes down. And, when we look at a lot of the prophecies, when I speak on the prophecy doesn't have to be fulfilled, there's a prophecy that says that, the prophet can count on one hand how many people are going to make this transition. That prophecy doesn't have to be fulfilled if we would just study and overcome our lower self. The There's also, another property that says, one day you'll send a child to the store and they will come back and they'll say, Ma, I saw a man. And the emphasis there is that, the numbers of the male population is going to be drastically decreased. Why? That prophecy doesn't have to be fulfilled. So, how do you do that? How do you get around these prophecies? We do what the prophet said to do, and we study. We study and we get our lower selves in check. The prophet said a lot of things. Some of them are most interesting. One of them was study, study, study. To me, that is like the most impacting directive, strong suggestion he gave all of us to study, study, study. It's one word repeated 3 times. And if you understand the science, when you see things in threes, it means pay attention. I'm trying to tell you something. So, study, study, study is one of the most impacting things that he said to us. And I just can't say it enough. And if you're really, really, really reading the prophet's work, you can't help but to study. Because once you start looking at just a little bit of the information that has been unveiled, you will find, to me, this has just been my experience. A day doesn't go by without me having a thought, jumping on my tablet or my phone, doing a little Googling, and then later on writing a note to myself, because I got so many thoughts going on at the same time, and then getting in front of my computer and doing a little bit of researching and further connecting dots and getting more solidified in my in my head, getting more solidified in my head. And I got to tell you, the more I study and the more I see, the more I realize why the prophet said, if I told you everything, you'd go back to sleep, because we are in the midst of an enormous web. It is an enormous web. It is just that. It's an enormous web. And web, is that you, Joe?
Yeah, that was me sneezing. My bad. I thought I blocked it.
Webs, they're strong, but they're at the same time they're strong for the spider, but for anyone who really is determined, they're weak. They don't stand a chance. So as a people, we have to know what our strength is. We have, and really, you know what? The more you study, the more you will comprehend your strength. The more you will start to comprehend just how powerful you are. It sounds trivial to say, prophecy doesn't have to be fulfilled, It really doesn't. If we would just, do a little bit of studying, go within ourselves and get a control of our lower selves, because, Roz and I had a conversation a while ago, and one of the things that, we had this kind of revelation on was everything that is manifested through your lower self. So if you get your lower self under control, all of that lower self activity will disappear. And then you tie in what RVBey said, that the modern Europeans are going to go the way they came. A lot of times, for a long time, I felt that was, through the laboratories. But really, when you think about it, the modern Europeans were created through our lower self activity and thinking. So if we get our lower self activity and thinking under control, and elevated to a higher place, then that means that they disappear, like right before your eyes. I mean, it's just that simple. So if we study a little bit, you're going to fall into it. And in falling into the studying, you have no choice, really, if you're serious, to get a hold of your lower self. And so some of these prophecies that mean that our numbers are going to be drastically decreased, they don't have to come true. We have the power, we have the ability, and, we have everything we need to make that happen. So we need to really get that into our minds, start with ourselves, because the prophet said, I gave you everything to save the nation. Now sit down and save yourself. A lot of times we have this tendency, we want to go out and save the world. But there's a reason he said, I gave you enough to save the nation. Now save and you can't know for somebody else. You can only think and study and know for you. But you ain't even going to get to that if you're busy trying to think, know, and study for somebody else who doesn't even have a clue what you're talking about. And which brings me to another prophecy or another statement of the prophet. He said, my sheep hears my voice. So if you're not involved in issues of nationality, maybe you just haven't heard the prophet's voice yet, and that's okay. Those who have heard his voice, act on it, start studying, start controlling your lower self so that some of these challenges that we are experiencing can just disappear. Islam.
Another one of those prophecies as well was let your good deeds outnumber your bad deeds.
Yes.
When you pass away, you won't have anything to worry about.
Yes.
So even the prophet is acknowledging the fact, he told us that we should study our lower self. That's where the bad deeds come from.
Mm-hmm.
So he's not because he told the Moors that Allah alone is perfect. So with telling the Moors that let your good deeds outnumber your bad deeds means that we are going to be engaging in some bad deeds.
Right.
We're not perfect. We are like Professor Denham L teaches, we are moving towards perfection. Perfection is the light that we see that we're moving towards. But on our way to that perfection, there are going to be pitfalls for the self. But every time you realize that you've done something not good, it might be something small like not hold a door for somebody who should have got the door held by you, right?
Mm-hmm.
Recognize that you did that bad deed and do 50 good things to counteract that bad thing. That's not something that has to be told. It should be something that's just automatically done. And when we look at the flip side to that, of the people who continue to do bad deeds and have minimal good deeds, they have theirs coming as well. Because for every action, there's opposite reaction. And you can't get away from the laws of the universe.
Mm-hmm.
But nobody's immune to the laws of the universe, especially if you're in physical form. The other one where he said that don't even carry a pocket knife, right? It seems like something so small, Well, why not carry a pocket knife? Why not? I might need to peel an apple or whatever. Why not? But all these things are exercises of lower nature, because we should be one with the universe, that we don't even need a pocket knife if we need a sense of defense. You know, we shouldn't even have to go that far. You know, we're so powerful that we don't even need that. That's not even going to get you out of whatever it is that you're in, where you think that you need something to defend yourself. Because I mean, if he's going to tell you, that you can drop the world on somebody, you don't need a pocket knife.
Exactly.
If the world is your weapon, what's a pocket knife going to do, really? You know, because he told Moors that, you know, if it gets there, you know, feel free to drop the world on somebody. Don't be afraid. You know, you're given instruction, you're given permission that if it gets to that state, drop the world on them. And with regard to the prophecies, again, if we go through the divine warning, there's ample amounts of things in the divine warning that should be common nature as far as our activity, as far as Moors, that he shouldn't even have to say certain things, but it also lets you know how far gone we were, why he had to say so many things that are quote-unquote considered prophecy now. You know, like we were so far gone that even the simplest things he said, like study, study, study. You mean Moors weren't studying? That he had to say that 3 times to Moors? Moors were that negligent of knowing who they are. Just to know, not even because somebody said. Just to know, just to have the knowledge of who you are. I mean, we know that the ancestors in Kemet had it written on the temples and all that. So it's not something new that he's saying that, you know, we never knew that we should be studying. You know, but once you cross the line into the lower self, you stop being yourself. You start being somebody else, or you start being something else. Depends on how low your lower self is. Because your lower self could be below human lower self, below man. Your lower self could be below mind. Like, what's below mind as far as lower self? Because if we look at the Hermetic principles and the law of correspondence, and there's opposite poles, and we're saying that, okay, well, there's a higher self of the mind, then there's a lower self of the mind. There's a higher self of the body, there's a lower self of the body. There's a higher self of auric fields, there's a lower self of auric fields. There's higher chakras, there's lower chakras. There's this duality in everything. And the more we gravitate to the lower self things, even though they might appear to be higher, you know, we set ourselves further back, which is why the prophecy of, you know, one day you're going to go to the store and see a man.
Mm-hmm.
And when we look at today and we say 80% of the population is Asiatics in prison, when there's people doing way more devilish stuff and they're out here roaming around free, clearly somebody knows how to manipulate their lower self, and some people have no idea what that is and get beat up by it. So just like he's saying, to let your good deeds outnumber your bad deeds. But there are some people who know how to do bad deeds but not get judgment for that. Like, we think of some of the things that we went through, and, you know, the tables don't seem to turn. We always seem to get the shit end of the stick all the time, when there's people doing worse stuff than us. And majority of that is because they study to know that, you know, ain't nothing wrong with black magic if you know how to wield it properly. And if you could counteract the black magic you're doing with white magic, then you're ahead of the game. Especially when you know half of these people are spooked out of their mind. And you mention, you know, you mention crystal and people are running. You know, you mention pyramid and people think Illuminati or whatever, but then you go check some of these Europeans, they got bronze pyramids in their house meditating in. And you want to know how come they can get away with stuff that they get away with? Because they're manipulating the energies. Or they know their lower self. Because it's a school of thought to know your higher self and your lower self. Yeah, no, just you know, learn to love instead of hate. Learn to love instead of hate. So clearly we've known what hate is in order for us to be told that we should learn to love. But, you know, we get caught in knowing the higher self but don't want to know the lower self, to know how to deal with it. And without a foe, a soldier never knows his strength. Like, it's just amazing how so many things that the Prophet said just keeps falling into each other. It's like a never-ending, it's like a never-ending vortex. That you get out the vortex, you think you're out, and you fall right back into another one. And then you get out of that one, and then you fall back into another one. And it's just this cycle that continues. This learning curve is like is a spiral. You know, it's not really a curve. And he knew exactly what he was doing when we put that theme out there, study, study, study. You know, uplifting fallen humanity. Nationality is the order of the day. There's these themes that keep repeating themselves, and they keep repeating themselves, and we keep missing it, and then we have to repeat it again, and then we keep missing it. When the things were laid down in order for us to eventually come to an end to this thing, like there has to be a finishing point. There has to be a last piece that gets put in the puzzle so we can see the full picture. You know, and we keep missing pieces, losing pieces, looking at half of a picture, talking about that way. Yeah, that's how it's supposed to look like. That's not how it's supposed to look like. You know. But we're definitely making way to manifesting these prophecies before the prophecies happen. You know, our eyes are really wide open right now. New Moors will come with eyes open. Well, eyes were open during the Prophet's time for some Moors. You know, CMB's eyes were wide open before Noble Drew Ali said Moors' eyes are open. New Moors will come with their eyes. You know, certain Moors' eyes were open. You know. I'll yield there, Islam.
All right. What we're going to do at this time, if you have a comment, a question that you would like to ask, please press 1 on your telephone dial, and we will begin to take your questions. All right. Let's see. We have, I don't know if this person has a question because they've been in the queue since the show began. So anyways, caller 256-665. You're live on the air. Please state your appellation at Northwest New Mexico. Islam?
Oh, I guess that's me. I didn't know how to put it more.
All right, so just press 1 on your telephone dial after I unmute you, and you'll come out of the queue.
Okay, I'm sorry about that.
No worries, Moor.
All right. And then there's another one. Caller 219-613. You're live on the air. Please state your appellation at Northwest New Mexico. Caller 219-613. I knew that was probably an error. All righty. Caller 803-305, you're live on the air. Please state your appellation at Northwest New Mexico.
Yes, Islam family, this is James Bay at Northwest New Mexico.
Islam, Moor.
I'll try to make my question kind of quick. Maybe it's a little bit of contradiction, but maybe not. So I'm gonna just throw it out there anyhow. Generally, I've been on this walk a long time, what I would consider a long time, and we are gaining weight. And I'm seeing where some of the dirty Moors are kind of basically getting to where they need to get to. They're kind of seeing their faults, and they either getting the hell up out of the way and kind of straightening up, or at least allowing a lot of stuff to go how it's going to go. But how the Prophet had it set up, he basically gave us everything we need to save ourselves. I'm trying to see what's the problem with the clean Moors getting together to make sure we get handled what we need to have handled.
Well, I mean, if we...
Is that a question?
Yes, it is. I know it's maybe a little bit of a complicated question, but I'm not saying that it's not moving. I mean, it's moving like light speed, like light years. I can see it where it's actually moving. And I guess that just one human side of me to look at, like how y'all said earlier, sometimes you want to help other people, but we got to listen to the Prophet and save ourselves, because I understand if you don't save yourself, you can't save nobody else. But amongst us, I'm just trying to figure out, as far as maybe on another end, are there some other avenues as far as what I'm unaware of that's not being put in place?
You're gonna take first dibs, Anita?
I'm still not clear what you're asking. It sounds like what exactly are you?
Okay.
Are you
from the inside looking outward to a lot of the things that I see. Far as I'm not on the outside looking in, I'm actually on the inside. A lot of the misconstruencies, I see a lot of people try to deter hard-working, striving Moors from going the directions that they have. If you don't do it this way, or don't do it that way, you can't get it done, and blah, 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 and nobody's really listening to what the Prophet say. And part of the reason, I guess he says study, because if you realize that, okay, if you try to lean on your own understanding other than how he had it set up, maybe you're going to fall on your head.
Well, a lot of Moors that are on the inside looking out. That's part of the problem.
Right.
You know, if they're on the inside looking out but not going out, then they're not being active.
Right.
Where Noble Drew Ali said that all Moors are active, not passive.
Mm-hmm.
So now that doesn't mean everybody, because some Moors' position is not to be active in the sense of going out to get people, right?
Right.
But the Moors who are for lack of a better term, charismatic enough to get people's attention. You know, they have to realize that, you know, once you put in the time studying, and then you know that you know, now your obligation is to go tell people, not to keep studying. You know what I mean? Yeah, you're gonna study still, but once you get to that level where you know the truth about your nationality and birthrights, and that our people are not Negro, black, colored, then you should be doing what you know for yourself. You know, just like the additional law says, you know, everybody is to use their 5 senses to the best of their ability, because Allah gave every man their portion for them to use. You know, and only the individual knows that.
Right.
So for example, like with me, I know that, you know, I'm going to put out hip-hop albums. You know, as long as I can put them out, as long as somebody says, here's a beat, you know, there's going to be albums coming from me. Because I know that, you know, doing that is how I can influence. You know, I know that works, because I mean I'm going on album number 6 right now, and I know that it works to use that as a medium to reach people, to get them to even just consider this. They don't even have to proclaim their nationality. But the fact that they're thinking about it, like, oh, I never thought about that, or, you know, who is that he mentioned, or he said something that, you know, let me go check that out, or whatever. You know, the job is done. You know, you know, there's individuals who you know, like Mother Raz, that years ago said, I'm gonna start a website. And now that website is the website for Moors. It wasn't that, I know that wasn't her intention when she started. We were just, you know, get the information out about this. But now, you look at that website now compared to what it was 5 years ago or whatever, 10 years ago, and you see all these different pages that's on that thing now, and all these different stuff that people could click to get information relative to their nationality and birthrights that they were supposed to get in Moorish Science Temple, whose job it was to uplift fallen humanity, and they weren't even getting it there. You know what I mean? So everybody has their position to play. You know, everybody has their position to play. And again, if we're on the inside looking out, and we're not putting our hand out there for people to grab it as they pass by so we can pull them in, then we're not really doing what we're supposed to be doing.
Right.
I'll yield the floor there for now.
All right. Did that answer your question?
Yes, it did. And I appreciate it. Thank you.
All righty. Thank you for your call. All righty. Caller 623-907. You're live on the air. Please state your appellation at Northwest Mexico. Islam. Yes.
Islam, Mother Annie. Good Islam, Cujo. I'm coming on the this is RVBey. Let me take it off the speak. This is RVBey, Northwest of Mexham. I'm coming in on the show a little bit late. I didn't hear the beginning of the show today. But one of the things I would say to the topic there, though, and to the brother who just called, I know that for me and maybe for a lot of people, a lot of become conscious is that, and they want to, they understand, they become conscious and understand who they are, and they accept the fact that they have a nationality. And through study, because I know you know, Annie, you know me, and you know it's been a lot of things that we have been through, that it takes a lot of individual study, that once you become conscious, it might be 2-3 years before, in a sense, don't get me wrong, but before you can really start talking about helping someone else and helping yourself, because decoding and remembering and learning all the little things of writing writs and just decoding this whole, deciphering this whole system, this whole web of deception that we've been caught up in, and especially, and I was thinking about this today real deep, you know, like myself, I become conscious in a later, at a later phase of my life. And for those who become conscious when they're 30, 40, 50 years old, after so many years of being bombarded and sleep and in that slumbered stage, to recondition yourself, you know, to break all those old habits. And you know the only way to break, or one of the only ways to break a habit is to replace it with another habit or a good habit of study when you wasn't doing that before, and then learning the proper things to study, you know, and then organizing yourself, you know, with time management and all these things. So, and I know for myself, in the beginning, I stepped out, and I remember a brother years ago, he had mentioned this here to me. He said, you know, you can be sincere and you can be sincerely wrong in some of the things that you might do. You know, through that sincerely, you know, you become conscious, you gather a certain amount of information, and then you step out and you find out, wow, I did this here. And I've learned now, just through the seasons, that it might not necessarily been wrong, but it's been a learning process, you know. And it was one of the things, just stepping out there, being who I am. Once I become conscious and start to know who I was, it was just a whole new learning process. And I had to accept it for that, you know. And I'm just saying that to say I can't speak for everybody, but I've noticed that from listening on the call, listening to some people that call in, and I remember me too. And I remember you saying, Annie, you can tell by the study of an individual when their language and their words start changing. You know, when they expressing things and when they talk in law. And it took me back to when I remember years ago, over 30-something years ago, when I became conscious to Islam. I was listening to an E-man giving a coupon, and he said that it's two advantages that a learned man has towards a non-learned man, and it's two advantages that the non-learned man disadvantages that the non-learned man has towards the learned man. The two advantages that the learned man has is once somebody opens their mouth, he knows if they know or don't know. The two disadvantages that the non-learned person has is when somebody opens their mouth to say something, he don't know if they know or not. And he might just accept what is being said, verbatim without study, because we've been in the practice of not studying and accepting things from face value. You know, like when we're young, our parents tell us, look, go to school, get a good education. And when we go to school, they say, listen, be good in school, do what the teacher says. And so from that, we take that as that teacher puts her in a place of authority. And so I can remember my mother coming home and my mother using common sense telling me something, and then I'm telling my mother, well, but the teacher said, you know, like replacing, using that authority that you get in school, and then we come to find out that that whole school system, or that whole system, I don't want to call it a school system, especially from what you was bringing to understanding. When you see the word school and it's put on a building, it's just the name of a corporation, and they call it school. Okay. So I want to say that whole education and teaching process, we see how flawed and and that it was miseducation, and we was putting our children under under the authority of that so-called teacher, and telling the children to go to school and listen to them. And we would take that from our parents and be miseducated. And then we think we know through that education. So I just really wanted to bring that point home about study, and that it's a process even once you become conscious. Becoming conscious is a big step now. Don't get it wrong. You know, because once that thing that we come to understand of consciousness open up, and you allow yourself entrance back into the ether, you know, that is a big step. But the things that we have to learn, and that we have to through study, and study is a magic thing. I'm come to find out. I had an epiphany. I was just studying and studying and studying, and then sleeping, and then going to sleep on it, and going to sleep on it. Then I started waking up saying, damn, that's what it is. Study had that magic thing of doing something to the consciousness, you know, when that pineal gland is being massaged. That's so, so I just wanted to make that comment and take that there. When the brother asked for what else, is there something that I'm missing in something? Look, it just takes time. It does take time, and it takes that energy and that continuation of just to force yourself to get up and studying. And now it gets to the point where when I get up from rest, and if I have to run around and do certain things, and I don't have an opportunity to study some things that I wanted to study, it's feel like, damn, I didn't get in what I wanted to get in today.
Right,
you know, after a period of time. So, but it'll all come in time, and it'll all come in time. And speaking of time, and when we start studying when we was talking about law last week, law isn't just the legal system and those things. We talking about the cosmos. We talking about nature. We talking about all these things that the Moors become scientists and conscious to. And so when we dealing in a day, we understand that those degrees in a day, those degrees of knowledge, you know. So just to that point, those are the comments I just wanted to rough off of my head and listening to the part of the show that I was listening to, and I hope that did at least some help or some people follow where I was going with that. Islam?
Yes, Islam. All right. Thank you so much for that. All right. Caller 708-800. You are live on the air. Please state your affiliation at Northwestern Exxon.
Hey, how you guys doing? I'm Animus RVBey, calling from Northwestern Exxon. And I was actually just reading the Circle 7 Quran, and just going through it, studying it, just trying to compare my conduct to law. Everything you do, you have to have a certain conduct to it. And in the Circle 7 Quran, it states that, our physical body, our mind is not us, and what actually is us is basically the spirit. And in order to be perfect or whole and complete, we have to train the physical body, the mental, and the spiritual. Then we become whole and complete, which is basically a complete circle. And another word for completion is perfection. Perfection is God. I just found that kind of interesting, and going with contract, what the brother said, he said, the cosmos, there's a contract of the cosmos. We have a contract in our body, a natural contract, which we have to conduct ourselves as such. There's also another contract with being a sovereign, as and it gets deep, and I don't know, it just changed my life. That's what I could say. It just changed my life, opened my eyes to a lot of things, and another thing, I was studying conditional acceptances as far as discharging debt, which I did, as far as telling the cops what they can and can't do. I wouldn't suggest it, but, I did. They went from arresting somebody to driving away. It was kind of interesting. And the thing about that is that everything is a contract. A contract isn't just a piece of paper you write on. Contract is the agreement of two minds. That's the contract. The piece of paper is just right there that says, hey, y'all both agreed, And everything is a contract. When cops talk to you, judge tell you to come here, contract. And the way to operate through those contracts, and life is a skill that we all need. It's a skill that I feel like all the Moors are missing. Well, not all of them, but, in my opinion, most of us are missing. And we really don't understand what's going on. That's just what I want to elaborate on. There's a European gentleman named by the name of Gordon Hill on conditional acceptance on YouTube that, I feel like we all should at least give an ear to. And I feel like he has a lot of good information that we can use. So, I just called. I just wanted.
What is it exactly that you're accepting?
Oh no, I'm just assessing. I'm just wanting to, express myself a little bit because the truth is, when I got into this movement.
I hear what you're saying, but you're saying that you did some acceptance of something, and then you further reference somebody that we ought to listen to who also is talking about acceptance. I'm just asking acceptance of what?
Oh, just understanding, government, what's actually happening as far as when you go to court, as far as when you when they send you notices in the mail for certain things, certain documents, as far as, like you said, the municipalities and the villages in which they send you notices saying, hey, pull me over for not having a police sticker, or pull me over for erroneous accusations, and you can actually go and combat that, basically contract your way out of trouble you entered into.
All right, and what trouble did you enter into? But what you're doing is you're implying that there is some pre-existing contract. Or are you saying that there's a contract being made on the spot?
Well, yes, contracts are being made. Basically, me and you having a conversation, we're entering into a contract.
No, we're not. Because in order for a contract to be valid, there must be full disclosure. So in your mind, you're saying that you and I have entered into a contract. Okay, so then how come I'm not aware of that?
You're not aware that you're having a conversation with me?
I'm having a conversation with you, but you're saying that because we're having a conversation, there is some sort of contract. But
it's a natural contract.
Let's go back to the question that I asked you. You said that we ought to listen to some modern European who talks about it, and I'm asking you, what is it that is being accepted?
It's basically a breakdown of operating in the world today as far as basically every time somebody comes to you or offer you something, it's a contract. It's contracts every day. As far as if it's with your wife, with your kids, or
you know what? Look, there's three basic elements of a contract. If any one of them is not present, you're not involved in a contract. All right? Yeah, you can have verbal contracts, but you can only have a verbal contract if all parties is aware there is a contract being offered and they have full disclosure and knowledge of the contract. You just gave me an example of somebody, one of these mercenary police, giving you a ticket, and you mentioned acceptance. I'm just asking, what is it that you are accepting? Because the only thing that you're saying that they're making an offer when in fact they're demanding income from you for no reason in particular, and it sounds like you're saying that we should somehow accept this debt.
Well, there's always a way to accept it while staying in honor, basically giving a conditional acceptance, because you never want to be in dishonor.
Okay, you know what? You're talking about commerce, and I know exactly where your head is, because I researched all that stuff that you're talking about. Here it is in 2016. Modern Europeans threw that crap in the trash can in 2008. Okay. But here's what you're trying to imply: that an unalienable right must now be contracted back. It's unalienable. That means that there can never be a lawful contract made about your constitutionally secured right to travel. This whole motor vehicle issue is flawed, but you're saying that we should, in some world, believe that we are entering into a contract about our liberties and then negotiate with someone regarding the income that they're demanding from you. That's not even the purpose of this whole Moorish nation, nationality, birthright. That's not the purpose. You're missing the whole point. If you think that negotiating around your unalienable, constitutionally secured right is what we're supposed to be doing with foreigners on American soil, that's not what this is about. The prophet said, enforce the Constitution. He never said negotiate your liberties with foreigners.
The Constitution is a contract, is it not?
The Constitution, it is an agreement. It's a compact. You might want to look that up. It's a compact, but it is a pre-existing compact between the Aboriginal indigenous people of this land. This is our home. This is our ancestral estate. This is our inheritance. Inheritance cannot be bought, sold, or transferred. So how is he going to negotiate it? It's not negotiable.
And what law is that? That's actually a contract.
What in inheritance that says that it cannot be bought, sold, or transferred? All right, that's not a contract. That's bloodline. That's birthright. It's ancient.
It's birthright.
What you're talking about is modern. And not only is it modern, it's a modern process that modern Europeans created in order to steal our ancestral estate. And you're saying we should go investigate it and use it. That's not what this is about. This is about enforcing the Constitution. This is about standing on law. This is about reclaiming your nationality, which what comes with reclaiming your nationality is your vast estate, your inheritance, your ancient principles.
I understand that. Now, reclaiming our nationality, that's our claim. We have a claim to our nationality, which we need to stand and honor. When we stand and honor.
No. We don't have a claim to our nationality. That sounds like, okay, so when you use the word like claim, that means that it can be or taken away. Your nationality can't be given or taken away because it is your bloodline. The only thing that they have done is kept that information from us. And as we gain back the information about our history, our ancestral, our lineage, our ancestral estate, we reclaim that knowledge and the fact that it was always there, we step into it.
Of course. I mean, like you said, it is our bloodline. And that's a natural contract that we have. Natural contract.
Right.
Now, contracts aren't, So that's what I was trying to, get at.
You know what? You've been studying with those modern Europeans. You're under the wrong vine.
That's your opinion. That's your opinion.
But what you're speaking is demonstrating that what you're doing is you're studying policies and procedures of the United States of America government. This is great field. That's the government of the Moor.
Okay. Question: Who? When you say that we should be listening to an individual, who's this individual that you're talking about?
Well, I just gave my opinion. I felt like the individual had a lot of information, but Gordon Hill.
Who's Gordon Hill?
Basically, an individual who went through the system, did a couple of things as far as court. He's just like me and you, just trying to get out the problem, trying to get out, trying to be free.
Is he Asiatic or European? Is he Asiatic or European?
He's European.
Well, he ain't like you and me.
That's what Mother Anaida's relaying, that the concept that the Europeans speak about or speak from when they say claim and things of that nature, their status is not your status.
Mm-hmm.
I understand that.
Your status is that you're native to the land. Their status is that they're a foreigner pretending to be a child of God, which isn't a status. Because if you ask him where he comes from, he's going to tell you about God and, you know what I mean, everybody's free to do this and that, but really and truly, he has a national descent that isn't over here. It's in Europe.
Mm-hmm.
So if he's speaking any concept about claiming anything, or contracts or anything like that, he could only do that in Europe. He can't do that over here with any authority unless you give him your indigenous aboriginal authority to speak like that. But he doesn't have open authority to talk from that perspective. The only way that he can talk from that perspective is if he's doing it under your authority. No different than if somebody says that they're a judge, they have to have some type of delegated authority to talk like a judge.
Yeah.
And if you didn't give him delegated authority to talk how he's talking, then that's not the individual that you should be using as a reference point for your freedom, because what he's talking about is for his salvation. But that's not your salvation.
Oh, I understand that. But like I said, it was just my opinion. I felt, the information he did have was worth listening to.
No, but that's what I'm saying, that if the information is worth listening to it and applying it is two different perspectives. So if you're listening to what he's saying and you're applying it, that's an error on your part, because you can't apply what you listen to from that individual who's a foreigner, because they're foreigner.
That's right.
How do they have the superior position in your land to tell you how to exercise something when you had a prophet that came before him that he's following what Noble Drew Ali said, and he's telling you something different?
I think we're going into a completely different direction.
Well, no, actually, the modern Europeans, if you notice, and I already know where they're coming from, because like I said, I reviewed a lot of their work. Problem with reviewing their work is if your foundation, if you don't have a good, strong foundation of law, they will get you twisted in the wind. But one of the things I do know for a fact, they can only talk in terms of commerce. And because they can be, and the reason they can only talk in terms of commerce is because they can't be on this land talking about nationality, because their nationality is not here. So what they do is they talk in terms of commerce because they think everything is for sale, even your birthright. They don't have one, not here. And it is downfall of Moors to get caught up in that, because if you go down that commerce track, what you're saying is your bloodline, your mother, your family lineage, your ancient foremothers and forefathers, that's all about commerce instead of birthright theft. This is about birthright theft. This is not about commerce. And anytime you talk about commerce, there is an implication that there is some contractual agreement that you mutually both agree to participate in, and there is no such thing when it comes to your birthright. That's called human trafficking. You cannot turn human trafficking into a commercial transaction and it be lawful. But
all right, I got you. Yeah, this is based on birthright. All right. I understand. No problem. I just want to say thank you. You know, I do listen to you guys. You guys are very, informational, and I appreciate everything you guys are doing.
All righty. Peace and love. Thank you so much for your call.
Peace and love.
All right. Islam, wait a minute now. Hold on. Brother Bakari. Islam, Brother Bakari.
Islam. Greetings.
Islam. Greetings, man.
Greetings, Grand Sheik. Greetings, Anna Eid. I just wanted to, yes, Islam, mother. I just wanted to make a comment, and I don't have a question this evening, but I just wanted to, call in and say that along the lines that the brother that called in before the last caller, and it was that sometimes when you come into this information, you have to have the mindset to put yourself in an uncomfortable position at times. Very few people have that, and I think the individual who called in 3 callers ago, he said he was looking from the inside out. Sometimes those individuals don't have the capacity to put themselves in an uncomfortable position when they've been doing something, in a certain way for an extended period of time. It's kind of like the analogy of the individual who lives near the ocean, travels on the ocean, but doesn't learn how to swim. And so he or she doesn't want to put themselves in the uncomfortable position because they didn't learn how to do it as a youth, so they won't take classes, and then they can come up with all kinds of excuses. Well, my mother didn't do it, or my grandmother didn't do it, and it's the same kind of mentality for smokers and people who eat bad food. Well, my grandmother lived till she was 150. She was eating fried chicken every day. Well, maybe she would have lived to 300 if she wasn't eating fried chicken. You see. So, that's the kind of mentality that many of us have, and we have to be able to put ourselves in a difficult position. And I'm not, even as I make this statement, I recognize that myself, Bakari RVBey, has issues. And I have issues with, putting myself in certain difficult situations. But what I can say is that when I study, I try to go into it not with any preconceived notions. Like when I try to study, I try to do it, and I try to be specific, and I try to be open-minded. I don't try to, read anything into the verbiage or phrases, or bring something that somebody else told me into my study time, you see. And so I just wanted to share that. I didn't want to take up a whole bunch of time. I'm sure that there are a whole bunch of different callers and stuff. And the last thing that I'll say is...
Actually, there isn't. I don't know what everyone is waiting for to ask questions, but, we do have, let's see, about an hour. Well, let me see. And it's about about an hour and a half still. So, we got plenty of time to take calls. If you got a question, you can press 1.
You want me to ask? If you want me to ask a question, I got a whole bunch of them. You talking to me?
Bring them. Bring them.
No,
you're on the hot seat right now.
No, you're rushing off the line, and I'm just saying, no, you can check your time. We got an hour and a half left to the broadcast.
Got time.
All right. Okay. All right. Well. All right. Okay. So, the topic of what was the topic of the show tonight was in reference to prophecy, correct?
Yeah, it's the prophecies don't have to be fulfilled, in terms of, there's a prophecy that our numbers will be drastically reduced. Well, we can alter that prophecy through just studying and gain control of our lower self.
Okay.
So we can change it.
Right.
It doesn't have to come true. Or it doesn't have to be fulfilled that way.
Right. Okay. So I have a question, and in terms of making changes to what has, like in terms of many of us, since I've proclaimed and declared my nationality, I found that, I haven't heard of very many Moors living together or making moves. And this is a question, mind you, but let me just preface it by saying that. So I would like to see that, but it seems to me that the reason that that's not taking place is it's because people are fearful. People are because we have a history of not trusting one another here since we've been knocked in the head and are calling ourselves tags that have no reference to our ancient foremothers and forefathers. So obviously we have issues, but as elders, for the panel, for yourself, and for Grand Chief Cujo, what do you see manifesting in the near future that would make it make Moors who are coming into the movement feel that it would be a prudent move to seek out like-minded Moors and start building up communities and actually living together? What do you think it'll take to make that happen?
I think one of the things that it would take is more trust in general, but the Moors that are on the same vibration, realizing that man is mind. So if our mentalities, if man is mind and our mentalities are in the same place, then we're together. Because it's in my humble opinion, right now, it's far-fetched to see Moors picking up from where they are to go somewhere else without any security.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, if we had someone prominent declare their nationality and build a community, I think it'll be a lot easier for Moors to pick up and all go somewhere to be in the same place together.
Mm-hmm.
But where we are right now, with all these other obligations that we have, it would be hard for Moors to just pick up and go somewhere not knowing what they're going to. Because if we look at during the Prophet's time, there was at least incentive for Moors to live together. There was manufacturing companies. There was, a more sense of unity, as far as there being, who's really going to cross the Prophet. There's not really somebody who's gonna, put the fire to Moor's coattails right now. Like, for real. Like standing behind you with the lighter. People take Noble Drew Ali, for jokes because he's not here. Even though I'm going to be doing stuff, you know what I mean? So don't get it twisted. But, it's a lot different when the Prophet's in your face than, when he's on the soul plane and, people think they can get away with stuff. And I mean, I'm not saying that it's not something that can happen because, like we've experienced, speaking for ourselves, me and you, Bakari, we've traveled to somewhere else to live with Moors for a few days. And that was good. That was amazing. I mean,
indeed.
For that to be long term, there's going to be we're going to need a little bit more security. You know what I mean?
Right.
But even something like that is a start. Which is why during the times of Noble Drew Ali there was conventions and stuff like that. Where all the Moors could get together and at least be around each other for a certain amount of time. Feed off each other, learn from each other, connect with each other, I'm not throwing it out. Can't happen, but for it to happen with the obligations that Moors have because of, the occupation and stuff like that, it's gonna take a lot to really do that. You know what I mean? Like, it's gonna take Moors who have 401ks and stuff like that sitting on them, and all these savings piled up or whatever like that, to realize that let's do something for the nation and have something for ourselves. The Moors who are capable of doing that, because not everybody's capable of doing that. There's going to be Moors who aren't gonna. They're gonna want to come to the community, but they don't really have nothing to show. To put into the pot, due to the same circumstances,
Yep.
But if we have when we look at what's the guy who just lost to Mayweather, Pacquiao, right? Like he just built some communities in his country or whatever. You know what I mean? Like he took his fiat and built some communities in his country. But Floyd Mayweather, he's throwing money at girls and buying girls for birthday parties and stuff like that.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Because he's more. You know what I mean? Beyonce's more, Jay-Z's more. All them people are more, but they want to have ball teams and they want to perform at Super Bowl and stuff like that, opposed to doing something with what they have to assist the nation. That they know is there. If they're gonna have if they're gonna have universal flag, diamond embedded chains and stuff like that, they gotta know. They can't say they don't know. You're gonna have feathers in your video and stuff like that. You can't tell me you don't know. But are they do they have enough guts to say, you know what, instead of giving whatever black BS some finances, or taking their finances and going to build wells in Africa and stuff like that, how about you fix where you live?
Yeah.
How about you do something over here? You're going to do stuff all the way over there when they got people over there who could do stuff over there. There's millionaires in Africa.
After all, this is Africa too,
Yeah, I mean, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Let me follow up with something. I want to follow up with something. You said I got a little bit of time, so let me drop this in reference to this. subject.
Look at that. I just want to let you know that Roz is on the line.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, it's long. Listen, Brother McCarry, whatever you wanted to add, fine. But I just wanted to say this. First of all, we were not planning to be on the show tonight because of a planned and scheduled trip, of which we did half of that trip, and because of the inclement weather, we had to turn around and come back. So we came back untimely, but I am able to be here right at this second, and I just want to say just a couple of things. Oh gosh, where am I? First of all, the brother that came on earlier and asked the question about the Moors that are doing good things, or quote unquote the good Moors who are doing, how can they come together? But I think you guys really answered it. We already are coming together. That's those who are doing good work are doing good work. This whole mission, this entire divine mission is to get the rest of the family who may not know, who may not ever had an opportunity to know, or that opportunity was infiltrated or missed somehow, is to get the rest of the family to come on board so those quote-unquote good Moors are doing what they need to do. And that's it's about bringing the family together for posterity. And if those who are elder or whatever didn't get it, don't get it, but it's the next generation, because it's for the young and yet unborn, as well, meaning for even those that are in the womb, any sister in the womb coming out, then that's what this whole thing is about, that they would get it, that the family, the nation would be salvaged, from information. Everybody knows that the only thing that stops the untoward actions and untoward assemblies and plans is knowledge. So for all those quote-unquote good Moors that are doing the work or sharing the work or however getting it out, kudos to them, because we're doing what we're supposed to be doing. We, they, us, I include myself in that, as Cujo gave kudos to the publication, everybody on this line and others listening, they are doing it. So that's what it's for. It's for everyone to become active to save the nation, to save the family, really. And the other thing, this is so great. Now, we got to be careful when we talk about prophecies being altered. Now, there are prophecies that can be altered, but listen carefully to what's said. For instance, the prophet said, if you do not refrain from your sinful ways, the great God of the universe will not be, I'm paraphrasing, it won't be happy, and you're going to have all kinds of, earthquakes and all kinds of other disasters. Well, guess what? The reason Now, had we refrained, which means that this information had been given out sincerely and honestly as it was supposed to, then maybe this wouldn't be happening, because a lot of the weather actions are nothing but the energies, and it is the mind of the people, man's mind, that is raising, that affects the weather. And we all know that when it's coming back around, warmer weather will be certainly in Atlantis or in this area. So this is what we're seeing. But so now that's if we don't prophecy, which is coming to light. And as far as diminishing the population of Moors, that's been the issue or the mission for others all along. But even with that, if you, the way I see it is this: if you are dead in the eyes of law, which is called in law civil little mortus, I would say that's a diminishment, because you can't rise and be the best of of what you're supposed to be and be on that pinnacle of life if you're dead civilly. So I see that as already being coming to light as well. And then lastly, I love the conversation with the brother who called that was dealing with the European Gordon Hall or Gordon Hill. I think that you couldn't have put it any better than that, both Cujo and you, Annie, because you said it. It's like, and it is a condition to why people like that brother, unless he sees the way, and others that study that, will also be civil literatumus, which means dead in the eyes of the law, because you said it. You can't. The modern Europeans, if he would have asked that guy Gordon what his nationality was, he's going to tell him it's something from Europe somewhere. So that means he has no claim to the American land estate. The can't. So I mean, I'm glad, and I hope people really get that, because a lot of our Moors, and they're good Moors, they just haven't studied enough to know and to accept the fact that this is our home, this is our ancestral estate. And that brings me to my last comment, which is the recent one. Where is it that people think Moors are going to go to live together? We're home already. We're already on our estate. Wherever you are listening right now, you're home. So we don't need to go anywhere. We need to be who we are. And that's why the prophet said, I come to teach you to be yourself. And wherever you are, wherever you're standing, that's home. If you are in this North American continent, South American, Central, all the adjoining islands, all the way up, you are already home. So once we change our mindset and have the information, we go nowhere. There's nowhere for us to go. It's almost like saying, and it reminds me of the perspective, I think, a lot of people who run these infiltrated temples. I'm not talking about all of them, but most all of them, the infiltrated ones, when they tell people that they are citizens of the United States of America, they are saying that, this is not their homeland. So that mindset of where we're going to go and live together, we're already living together. We're on our land. We just need to again, come back to our divine, to know the truth and the divine truth, and that's all we really need to do. And it's coming there already, so don't even think about we need to go and have our own community somewhere. This is ours. That's the mindset we have to have. It's love.
Okay, so Islam. And that's not quite what I meant. That's not quite what I had in mind. I'm with you on that. I'm in total agreement with that. However, what I'm referring to is about Moors who are in good standing, getting together with Moors, with other Moors who are in good standing. I'm not talking about leaving northwestern Mexico. Okay.
All right.
Is that, go through and do your due diligence. You just don't hook up with somebody that you don't know anything about. Just because you feel good, and just because you just found out about Moorish science. Oh, I'm a Moor. Okay, well, let me go hook up with this brother who I just met yesterday, and we're going to go buy some land, knowing you don't know anything about contract law, and you don't know anything about his personality or, what he has demonstrated, before in his past, I'm not saying that because of the fact that I'm a Moor and I hook up with another brother who's wearing a fez that I'm not going to ask him to, share some of his history. I'm going to do my due diligence. But what I am saying is that there are major benefits financially with this fiat system that takes, that does a whole bunch of other things, that relieves stress, that doesn't require, like deep thought. You know, like there's simple, like other nationals, like when we talk about being practical, and like I'm currently involved in a series where it's called Moor Table Talk, and the subject for this particular series is Moors and perception and how we are perceived both nationally and internationally. You know, so a lot of the things that we do and say, you know, and I'm not saying that this is in reference to the panel, that this applies to the panel, but what I am saying is that how can you say that you are conscious and that you're kings and queens and you're descendants of Canaanites, Moabites, and you comprehend all of these other things, but yet and still you're not capable of comprehending the practical application of what other nationals do when they get here. What do you think they do when they get here? They, you know, like some of them will be like 10 deep in an apartment, in a one-bedroom apartment. 2 years down the road, then they have another apartment. And then 3 years down the road, then they have a business. 5 years down the road, then they just bought a home. 10 years down the road, they got another home with 10 acres. You know what I'm saying? And then nobody's living in an apartment, you see. And then if they have an individual who acts up, then they get rid of that individual. See ya, hasta la vista. You see what I'm saying? So these are the practical things that I'm talking about, you know, and because I don't want to, you know, like, and then the last point that I'm making, and I know that there's a lot of difficulty, you know, that there's a lot of issues mentally that we have with trust and honesty, things of that nature, and we all have a lot of baggage. But what I'm saying here is that, you know, like we can't just continue to condone this type of activity where we're just all waiting for, you know, something major to happen. You know, like there's one RVBey, there's only one RVBey, there's only one Anaid, there's one Cujo, but there's millions and millions of other Moors on Northwest Amexem just sitting around waiting for somebody to do something. You see what I'm saying? And so we, you know, like I want to leave something, and I want the youth to, you know, who are coming into this movement, you know, to say, you know what, you know, we can do this. But they're never going to be able to say that we can do this if they don't see us doing it.
Right. But
so
you know, you have a point. You have a point. There is a lot of, and that was kind of like in the earlier call, waiting for something to happen instead of understanding that each one has to be active. And I think I know exactly where you're coming. I know exactly what you're saying, and I think that it. You know, just like it says in the Secret Teachings of the Brotherhood of the East, chapter, I believe it's 8, that it is the time for each man to become a priest of his own. We have to have this information, like you said, that other nationality, other places, they know this and they hold on to it. And we've been lacking it, which is the reason I think that Prophet Nabi Ali came to give us these things we need, necessary, in order to get to that point that you're talking about. And then you have people who don't receive it or want to study it, and because they've been indoctrinated to think that someone else will do it, you know, for them, they have to come out of that. And I think that I know that it is changing, but you're right. Like, what do they think other people do? You know, other nations. People who are dealing with national principles do. Well, if they don't know, then it would be wise to say, well, let's study the issue with national principles. Well, Prophet Nabi Ali kind of did that work already, you know, and studied it and said, hey, this is what you got to do. And so if they're really interested, then they would at least go down that road, you know, and get there to find it out. But you know, there's all types of scenarios. But now I want to say this to you, brother, just on the side real quick, because it just got back. Thursday, you and I will connect for that questionnaire thing, all right, Brother McCary? Is that too late?
Okay. All right. I'm all happy now.
Is that too late?
Okay,
Thursday?
all right. No, mother.
It's not too late.
It will happen.
All right, I just wanted to say that because I love the questions you asked. I reviewed them. But getting back to this, it's almost precarious. Like you're like, well, Ted, which way do you go? But I think if we just watch the signs of the time, look at the prophetic thing, be clear on what can, what we can change, and what we can't, and see the changes. Like, and if you haven't mentioned yet, maybe you're saving it for another class, and so maybe I shouldn't say anything about what you found in the paper today. No. It's all gone back in the hands of the Moors. Now, what that simply means is that the liberty and the right of the,
You can mention it because I'm about to put it up on Facebook.
Oh, you put it on Facebook already?
Yeah, I'm about to do that as soon as we get off the air.
Right. I'll be looking for it. Nah, well, you got better information on than I do. Let me just say this, because I'm waiting to see it myself. But when the prophet said it's all going to go back into the hands of the Moors, because he's a universal prophet, and he is aware that the mothers and fathers of civilization are Moors, the first navigators, and that's why he said, you've got an illustrious history, go check it out, so that we would recognize that we're the mothers and fathers of civilization, therefore the arbiters of the lawful divine documents, of which the Constitution, believe it or not, though not written for us, is a divine document. It's probably one of the most religious documents out there. People just don't recognize it. And it was for others, though. So for others who were on our home, because this is our home. But the point that I mentioned is that going back into the hands of Moors, the mothers and fathers of civilization, and their lineal descendants and posterity, which means forevermore, is simply meaning that our liberties will the restrictions on our liberties will be removed, that our freedoms in that respect that love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice will be what guides the land, and the line will lay down with the land. That's what it really means. And so with that, it means, it translates to the reality that these corporations, in the name of corporations, whoever that energy, that negative energy of human trafficking, slavery, and all the things that are lower self, which are, lewd, hatred, slander, all of that, right? That's all of that is going to dissipate. And so when the corporations start dissipating, of which they are absolutely doing, right, then that's when it's unveiled, because the liberties will be relinquished, or will be free. Our liberties will be free again. That's how it's going to happen, because that's what's been that iron hand. That's what that iron hand translates to today, is those energies and those lineal descendants of those who wanted to steal the birthright coming through what we call corporations today. So this thing had to play itself out. And there is no doubt that it's going back into the hands of that is going to love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice shall be done. That's simple. Now, if you don't know what your freedoms are, if you don't know what love is, you're in trouble, because that means you're not operating in the first principle. So it could be in front of you and you wouldn't recognize it. If you don't know what truth is, you know what? You're not going to have peace. And if you don't know what love, truth, and peace is, you're not going to be able to effectuate or see any freedom. And then justice won't be done, but then again, justice will be done, because justice is retribution. Justice is that you get back what you put in, what you contribute comes your tributes or your retribution. So some will still be living in that state. But wouldn't it be interesting if and it is right now, because some of us experience it in our lives where your liberties are released, but people don't recognize it because they don't recognize love, they don't recognize truth, they don't recognize peace, they don't recognize freedom, and they don't recognize justice. So therefore, what they ask for, like the marching for justice, the marching for peace, no, what is that thing? No something, no peace, no justice, no peace, and all of these other marching. You could ask them, what is freedom? They don't know. You could ask them that would say, well, my liberties are being violated. My rights are being violated. But ask them, what are your rights? And most of them don't even know. And they're not going to know unless they study to find out. So that's where it's going to be. And it will be then even more so for the quote-unquote Moors that, as the brother said earlier, the good Moors doing stuff, to continue with institutions of learning, because what's happening is the Moorish Renaissance is happening before our eyes. But I will say this, because while I was gone, I was able to think about something, and it hit me because, we ended up going to the museum. We ended up really getting some revelations, if you will. And one of the things is that the European, there's a difference, and I'm going to put a little ditty up on the site about this in the next couple of days. The European Renaissance happened because Moors, the mothers and fathers of civilization, taught people who needed to be brought up who didn't know. But the difference between the European Renaissance and the Moorish Renaissance is there's nobody to teach you Moors, us Moors, because we are the source of that information. And the glory and the good part about it, which requires study, is that that information is really not hidden. We just haven't been exposed to it. So when we go to come up, to rise for salvation, of starting with self, others, and then the family, we're going to find that we have to do that ourselves, because there's no one else that can besides the divine law and, the unseen, which is how all things work. But if we don't bring ourselves to knowing the truth and the divine truth, then we can't get there. We're going to constantly, as you guys mentioned earlier, be operating in the lower self, and that's limited. So we are the arbiters. We are the saviors of ourselves during this Moorish Renaissance, unlike the Europeans being brought out of the Dark Ages by Moors. Now, it's not really reversed, because they can't bring you out. They can only expose the truths that already existed, and the prophet said that. He said the Europeans going to tell the truth, and that's what's happening, isn't it, Anna? You want to mention that you're getting ready? Yes, please do, because I'm totally excited about that, as well as excited about some of the experiences we gained when we went to a couple of museum locations and crossed some T's and put some dots across, which we'll share with the family later. But would you do that? Because I think it's wonderful. Just read a little bit about what was written in the paper.
I will. I went and I was looking for something, and I came across I was thinking of something that I recalled hearing about 2 years ago. So I went on the internet and I started looking, and lo and behold, I found this article, and it was talking about how the state is getting ready. See, up in this area, they tax the automobile, and I remember hearing. And I didn't get a chance to find the article, but I remember them saying how the reason that they was taxing, this is the automobiles of people, where you have to pay a yearly automobile tax, was that because that tax that they were getting from people subsidizes property taxes for people who own homes. Absolutely unconstitutional, because here's the thing, if you don't have a home, why is it that you're being compelled to supplement somebody who does have a home? So I went and I was looking for this article, and I found something recent that said that they're getting rid of the automobile taxes. And I started reading through it, and I was like, oh my goodness, this article is so telling, because they use words like, if they got rid of the motor vehicle taxes that they apply every year, the county, city, town, township boroughs would lose $2 million a year. They say this in the article. Then they say, they actually say what I remember hearing. And this is from the spokesman for, are you ready for this? The Connecticut Conference of Municipalities. Look at this. They have a lobbying group. They wrote, diminish both property tax revenues and ticket revenues for towns. Revenue towns depend on to pay for essential services. How are these services benefiting the people? Then it said residents have an obligation to pay these taxes and fees to help ensure that towns can meet their service needs. This is the language they're using. And then they say it would reduce, if the motor vehicle tax is eliminated, it would reduce the revenue to towns. Then they say, how else can municipality collect car taxes other than to have the DMV sledgehammer on them? This is in the article. This language, I'm not making this up. I swear I'm not. I would be concerned about the loss in revenue. This is what they say. Then what else? The collection rate would drop to 50%. And then they threw something on here that I never knew. Communities cannot place a lien on a car if taxes are not paid. What?
Oh, they've been doing that. Wait a minute. They've been doing that with people. If you don't pay this or you don't pay that, they've been using that driver's license instrument to conspire, to extort, collude. They've colluded with that. And so what you're saying, finished up, they're saying end of that now. Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. Pardon the interjection. I know we're having fun, but it's 11:27. You might want to make an announcement for some people.
Oh, thank you. It's 3 minutes before 11:30, which means that the internet feed is going to go down. And what you want to try and do is to call in to the and see if there are any open lines. You want to call 347-945-5899. There are a few lines available, so you can probably call in and get an open line. If you're not able to get an open line, wait until 12:30, and you can download from the archives and listen to the remaining hour of this broadcast. All right? And I just want to also mention once again that Sons of Allah is not going to broadcast this Thursday. They are going to broadcast next Thursday, the 25th. Once again, Sons of Allah is not going to broadcast their usual third Thursday of the month, which is the 18th. They're going to broadcast on the fourth Thursday of the month, which is the 25th. So make sure and check them out on the 25th at 9 p.m. And
also tomorrow at the Wednesday class, Abdullah RVBey will be there.
Exactly. We'll be at the Moorish Heritage and History School class near Harlem at Northwestern Maxim, and the doors open at 6 and Class B is at 7:30. All right.
Well, that's 6:30 because we don't have the food there anymore. But Abdullah is going to be giving a class. I forgot whether it's etymology or what, but he'll be there.
Right. Now, I just want to make one more reference. And when they say communities cannot place a lien on a car if taxes are not paid, that's what it's trying to get you to pay the taxes. So if somebody wants to put a lien on your car, they will. And then they say things, there's no way to force payment. This is in the article. Eliminating the need to pay car taxes before registering a vehicle would hand towns and cities a huge revenue loss. And the only way to force the issue is not allowing you to register your car. So they said all of that, and then they came back with the big bulldozers, and they said, at least this particular union state came back and said, hold on, the DMV should not be in the local property tax collection business. The core function of the vehicle department is to provide licenses, register cars, and other services. It is not to collect a $50 ticket on behalf of a municipality.
Whoa! Repeat that again, because that is the bomb right there. It's already over for them.
Whoa! See, but look, I just want to premise this. I'm gonna read it again, but I just want to refresh everybody's mind. Back in 2011, North Carolina put it on the record that the police and the Department of Motor Vehicles is not an agency of the state. Here we are in 2016, and you got a union state saying the DMV should not be in the local property tax collection business. The core function of the Motor Vehicle Department is to provide licenses, register cars, and other services. It is not to collect a $50 ticket on behalf of a municipality. They just told you that, look, as the state, we ain't taking a hit for you no more. You're on your own.
That's right. They're backing up. That's beautiful.
Oh, I couldn't believe when I saw that. I was like, whoa.
The work is being done.
And you know what? And I just want to say something else, because I put this in the little synopsis before I put up the article, but, Prophet Noble Ali, he is certainly working on the other side. I just had to say that because, not that we're not working here on this side, but the fact that we're working on this side, he's always been working on the other side. But now we got Prophet Noble Ali working on the other side, and we're here working on this side, and it is getting done. Islam.
Islam.
I was just going to add in as well, don't forget that the Pope also coming out and ousting all these people, hanging all those people to dry. George, right. and remember, El Haj told you all the chickens coming home the roots too.
That's right.
All the chickens are coming home right now. The cock crowing, right? The cock crowing.
It's doing that, yes. But let me just take some more callers because I think we do have some more callers. And we do have some more callers. Brother Bakari.
Yes, Mother.
Thank you so much for your call, and we'll talk later.
Islam. Thank you guys for being there.
Islam.
All right. All right, caller 804-921. 804-921. Oh boy, wait a minute. My computer's doing something. Alrighty. I think 804-921. Are you there? Alrighty. Blog Talk is doing something different here. Let me see if I can open up another line. Oh. Alrighty. Blog Talk is having a little bit of technical difficulties.
Well, after that, look at your drop, you know.
What?
It's over. Anyway.
Oh boy, hold on. Let me see if I can get into another screen. While I don't know what's going on with this. Look at that.
Islam, can you hear me?
I can hear you. Oh, is this caller 804?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, all right. It's mine.
I heard it when it said unmuted.
I'm sorry. Go, Islam.
You just did it. So it said unmuted. So I said, okay, let her know I'm on.
Yes. It's not showing unmuted on my end, but go ahead, please state your question now.
Yes, this brother Azad calling from the Corporation of Richmond, Virginia.
Yeah,
I'm loving the call. I mean, you all was actually going in on some information just now, and I was wondering, are you going to post what you just were saying on the site that you said?
It will be posted on the RVBey Publications website, but I'm actually trying to post it on the what do you call it? The Facebook MHHS-Eyes Wide Open Facebook page as well.
Okay.
And I just want to say that Facebook page, it's public, so you don't have to. You do not have to have a Facebook account to get into it.
Okay. Well, I wanted to kind of make a statement. I was talking to a young lady. She said that she's an Eastern Star, and she said that they are called the Daughters of ISIS. So I was sharing her some of the stuff that's on RVBey Publications, and she's been telling me for a while. She's sworn to secrecy and all this other stuff, and I shared with her the Clock of Destiny, and a lot of the stuff she was saying. Well, the brothers, they get all the information, and they don't tell them anything.
Right.
But she,
I said that's right.
And and I think it's kind of sad, because in the age that we are now, you can pretty much, if you want to, you can find truth, or you can try find falsehood, but in between it got to be some kind of truth, So if they're not going out and seeking knowledge for themselves, something is wrong with that picture.
Well, that's their choice. At this day and time, and really at any time, it is truly their choice, because the Daughters of the American Revolution, and if it's a sister, I think they may have an extension, the Daughters of ISIS. And, that's just Genesis and the genes of ISIS, genes of Mother. So now, just like you had the Masonic orders, all they really did was took the information, this divine information, smoked it into a club, right? And earlier, they utilized this information and the energy from it, whereas you kept it from. Now, somebody is really badly. Somebody is really breaking badly. Huh?
I'm hearing it too. I'm just trying to figure out where it's coming from.
Oh, okay. And so the Daughters of the American Revolution is really just a a women's club or sorority, which is usually for women, and fraternity for guys. So when they have their Eastern stars, which really is talking about Venus, because that's the Eastern star, or the star from the East. So as sisters who are not a member, Moabites who are not a member of the Daughters of the American Revolution, the Eastern Stars, the Daughters of Isis, that's what they, using now. Your star they're talking about the star from the East, which is Venus, which is the mother energy. So what they did is that the brothers in the Masonic orders always had their hand on the sisters in the Eastern Stars. So they didn't give them a lot of information. They actually would be, in many cases, overseeing their meetings. So it's really going through rituals and formalities, keeping the secrets. Well, the secrets, Prophet Noble Drew Ali said, I have taken the covers off of all secret societies. And what did he mean by that? It means that the information that he gave you and the studies where it is concerned actually uncovers all that stuff, which is why it's sad when you have the temples that say they're in the name of Prophet Noble Drew Ali, who operate exactly like a secret society, a fraternal order. And as far as the sisters that are in the temple, we mentioned it before, a lot of them keep a hand on them. I mean, they're like, it's sad. But the truth is out there. What they think they're ritually learning, it's their choice to seek out that truth and to share it and not make it a secret. So, yeah, Eastern Stars is the stars from the East. So I hope that they would continue to study. And one last thing, in both the fraternal orders of Masonic orders and in the sisters orders, they all take an oath to a demigod, really. And this is the reason why you had mentioned earlier that they can't speak about it. The reason they can't speak about it is because they took an oath as part of their right, and they can't. And then when they took that oath, they may not have realized that is a divine thing that they did. They could have taken an oath to who knows who they took an oath to. They can't even tell you. But if they were really to think about it, I mean, once they took that oath, anything that you speak, you manifest, they could have taken oaths to them. I know they take oaths to demigods, which demi means inferior. So now they can't speak on it, and they're probably in fear of what the results would happen if they do, not just some physical thing by another member, but by whatever ritual or oath they took spiritually. So they're really shut up unless they re-cleanse themselves. You understand what I'm saying?
The funny part about it is that, by her, basically being sworn to secrecy or whatever, I told her, because she was acting like she was impressed, of what was in the Clock of Destiny book. And she, I shared with her the book, She Redeems. And a lot of information that like you were saying, that she's probably sworn to or whatever. I was telling her that we are in a new age where you have young people who are able to go and get things at their fingertips, and this secret fraternity or whatever has been around for a while. They have been hiding knowledge and secrets from their own family members. Whereas then I asked her, I said, if you see someone that's in need, or they need a guidance or a direction, and that they're going on the wrong path, can you say anything to them? And she was like, it depends on what it is. And like I told her, I said it's gonna be a lot of younger people that's gonna be mad at that order because they haven't been helping society as they've been holding information.
Well, if she could help them, the first thing that she would do most of them would do is try to get them to join their fraternity or sorority in order to help them. And the youth aren't going for that because what you just said. You know, this is the young and yet unborn, and this is the ancestors' return. The children are the ancestors' return just as you are. And they really are taking those shorts right now. And when they look into her eyes or anyone's eyes, and they do not see the beacon of light, of truth, which really is close with them, they will dismiss her. So they don't need to be mad. They don't need to be mad at them because they're going to pay for whatever they've gotten into on that's their retribution. The youth are our ancestors' return, and they're not intending to take no shorts or, you know, to pay for that. They're on a mission. This is a mission. This is a missionary program right here. This is a missionary activity, right here. And that's what the youth are on. So getting mad at them, no. Leave them where they are. Leave them where they are. They will have to find the light, the true light themselves or not. So that's what I would say to the youth. Don't get mad at them. Don't get mad at your parents.
I do want to add, I mean, I appreciate the videos because, like I said, I've been able to check a lot of stuff out, especially from you and from Miz and from Cujo. And I appreciate a lot of the stuff because it's truth that brings light. You know, and honestly, to be able to see you all's faces, because I said that I wanted to travel up there to come to a couple of classes, you know, and I think that, you know, like I said, to be able to associate, you know, by being able to see you all, it makes a world of difference.
Yeah, that's the energy that we have. That's how we speak to each other, is through the energy. So we can appreciate that. And we can all appreciate that with all our brethren. You know, it's always good when you can do that. And, you know, and I trust that in no time we will be doing that as we pass each other in the street or out in the world, you know, because that's what this mission is about, is bringing the people back into the family of nations, you know, and uplifting this fallen humanity. So Islam to that. And maybe we'll see you soon. Just let us know before you come in. And, you know, now you don't have to let us know. We're there all the time, but still it would be nice. Let us know when you get there how far you came, because we always acknowledge people who have come a distance or anyone who's come for the first time. We ask that question. So I trust we'll see you at some time soon. Maybe in the spring when it gets warmer, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right.
And like I said, I appreciate everything. I really truly do. I can't even say my words don't even come to where they should be. You know, like I said, I appreciate the calls. I appreciate everything because it's an uplifting thing, especially, you know, when you see other individuals. Like I seen one young lady, and she posted, you know, that she had been following the brother that Cujo talks about all the time, that's over in the West Coast. She was just basically talking about a lot of her travels, you know, as coming from different religions or whatever it is, and she said that now she has settled in to get a more understanding of what to be a Moor is. You know, so I think it's, you know, like I said, she's pretty. No, she's not that. She's a young lady, you know, so. A lot of, like you said, a lot of young people are waking up, and I'm gonna yield the floor. I think say that, you know, it's so much that you can say that you can't say it in that little bit of time.
Yes,
What is your what is the first three digits of your phone number? Is it 804-921?
That's me.
Did you say yes?
Yes.
All right, the Blog Talk. All right, thank you. The Blog Talk studio is just acting up. All right, what if I do? Oh, yeah, it's acting up. Look at that. All righty, let me see if I can take another caller. Let's see. I don't know if this is going to work because It's not muting. It's not unmuting, and it's not muting. Oh, 989-980. Are you there? Islam. Calling 9. Islam.
Peace and love. Long time listener. First time actually talking on this show. RVBey, Northwestern Mexico.
Islam.
Thank you. I've been listening in, and, I mean, the show needs no direction. You two have the floor for 3 hours long, going in strong all the time. Commend you for all your energy, effort, and hard work. Your dedication and loyalty, it will not go in vain. The movement is strong. Islam.
Islam.
Islam to that.
I really don't know what to say. You kind of just put me on the spot. I'm in my bed.
You didn't press 1? You didn't press 1?
I did, because you called my number out. And I mean, I thought it was just my finger did it on its own. I didn't do it. I just, my finger did it.
All right. All righty. Wow.
I guess you got some of that energy mission accomplished. That's all I wanted.
All righty. Thank you so much for your call. All right, peace. This is going to mute because it's really acting up. All right, let's see. Oh, goodness. Let's see. Caller 314-802. You're live on the air. Please state your appellation at Northwestern Mexico.
Islam family, this is Alicia L. Happy to get through. I had you guys on like 2 different phones. I was trying to press 1. It wouldn't connect, and I was trying to figure out what's going on. I was about to go crazy, so I'm glad I'm able to get on this line with you lovely people. I want to say, oh, my God, I'm so grateful for all of you. And just on the topic of the show today, speaking on prophecy, I think if we all look back on our past, we will see that it's all prophecy. And as Anna Ida was saying, that it can be changed. Certain things can be changed. And I think the things that maybe can't be changed or has to do with, your planets and things like that, and you just have to work through them. Mm-hmm. And I was just wanting to ask you guys, as far as I know with the corporate ID, that us as Moors, not that we can't have them, that we're not even supposed to have them. They're not for us. I have a 13-year-old. His dad is in jail, and his mother, his dad's mother, wants to take him to go see him, and she's saying that they require that he get a state ID. And I'm like, well, he doesn't have a birth certificate and Social Security card to get a state ID, because I'm not going to let him have.
But wait a minute. First of all, they have to be identified, and they have to produce what need. We need to get into the habit of asking, is that a law? And if it is a law, have a copy of it.
Right. Well, I know this, but this is his father's mother who wants to take him, and I know that even if I send him with a nationality card, she doesn't understand. And I was trying to explain it to her over the phone a few days ago, and I'm like, well, he can get one, a ID card, but it won't be a corporate state ID card. So I'm trying to explain it. She's like, well, you can get it for $10 down there. Yeah, they'll sell you real cheap. So what would be your advice? Because he's not going to get a state ID, and however, I do want him to be able to see his dad, but I know she's not going to go in there and defend it. He can, but just knowing where she's at and being, unconscious, what would be your advice?
Wow. Well, see, that's got to, prison is not a place to me for a child to ever be.
Right.
It's, me personally, I wouldn't want my child to be a picture of any parent in a situation like that. So that's just me.
I'm hearing a lot of shuffling.
I am too, and I'm trying to figure out. I don't know where it's coming from. But this board has been acting up all, it's like as soon as I started talking about the motor vehicle, the board started acting up.
They don't want you to get that information out. And that's so funny. I took my son to get some glasses today, and I used insurance, so there was no charge for the glasses. However, she asked if you want scratch resistant or scratch protecting and all that is $30. Okay, fine. And then she said, yeah, your total is $36.95. And I'm like, whoa. I'm like, where did the $6.95 come from? Oh, well, they tax you on the whole thing, even the discount or whatever. And I'm like, how? If I'm not paying, how are you taxing me for something that's not there? Even if I'm going to pay the tax, what's zero, times 0.8% or whatever it is? It's zero. So I was like, well, I don't think I'm going to pay that tax. She said, well, you have to have a tax-exempt form from the state. And I said, do you have that written somewhere? Because the state can't make laws and they can't tax. So how are you able to tax? And I said, I think what they're doing is taxing you, and you're passing the tax off to your customers or the insurance company or whoever it is. I said, however, I think you might want to go do some research before you begin telling people that they need a so-called exempt form from a corporation that they're not even a member of. How can I go get a tax form from them if I'm not even paying them tax? So in my studies,
right.
I'm sorry?
You're talking right. That's the position.
Okay,
right.
So in my studies, and I understand the study, I ran across the four corners rule is what they're calling it, and then I was like, oh, that's why they put the zip code in the brackets, because it isolates it from the form. And I notice when they send the so-called bills or the coupons in the mail, they'll have that box there. So that box isolates that. And in researching that on our checkbooks, the line where you endorse the check is really micro print for authorized signature. So with homeschooling my kids, I have the telescope, the microscope, and all that. So I have this one that gets in really close, like you stick it right on. And I put it on there, and I was like, oh, my rah. Like, are you serious? And I'm thinking, okay, so I hear you guys say all the time, when you get this information, do not run out and start doing this and that and filing papers here and there. You can let me know if I'm right or wrong on my concepts before we go on. The way I understand it is they don't have an authority, a status, or any type of right to do when you say jurisprudence, you don't even have the right to speak on anything I do, because you are only here by way of me and my ancestors. And when you were talking to the guy about commerce, when you do these things, even before you sue, when you say they have nothing to even give you, they have nothing. It's not that we're trying to get, and not saying anything against what you're saying, but just for people to understand, we're not trying to get anything from them. We're trying to get them to stop molesting and stealing what we do have, which brings us down. Right. I mean, as far as all of the little fees and taxes and this and this, you don't want anything from them. You want to stop them from taking that, which hinders you from doing other things that you could be doing. Because
That's right.
when I walked away from my job 2 years ago, I realized, I said, hey, I don't need money. The electric company needs money. The phone bill needs money. I don't need it, because if we start living just a little more simpler, we will find that when we talk about melanin and it adjusts to anything, it adjusts to anything. And when you talk about the divine part of the movement, when you get the divine and you conquer the lower self, study is going to be insatiable. Information is going to be insatiable. So it's going to force you to do it. And the thing I think we should remember is in our imperfection, we are still perfect. And it is the journey and this thing that we're taking that we should, I say thank you. I don't know if I'm saying it to the ancestors, if I'm saying it to my higher self, the creator, all of them. I just say thank you for every little bit of light that comes. And it becomes a little, I won't say overwhelming, because I understand that it's how we think and not what we think. So when I get in a place where I'm getting so much information and it's just piling up, and I don't look at it as being overwhelmed. I think of it as new neural pathways being formed in my brain and connecting to other synapses and things like that. And just that energy from that motion is what I am experiencing in my physical body. And I even say thank you for that. So when you say we gotta love instead of hate, the biggest part of the lower self, I think for us, is the negative self-speak. We have to learn how to say the right things to ourselves and stop all the chatter and stop all of the doubt. When Mama Raya said that I overanalyze, and I think that when we talk about prophecy, I don't know if you remember, but my birthday is December 3rd, so I've lived the life of a Sagittarius. But then when I got a little bit of knowledge, I did some other research and found that, okay, on December 3rd, the sun is really not in Sagittarius just yet. So Sagittarius sees the big picture and goes over the details. But the Scorpio has allowed me to go in deeper than the surface and investigate and uncover other things. And with all of that water and earth, the fire, the true Leo in me, this right here is what is going to allow my fire to burn and my Leo, the true me, to shine. Because it builds up that energy in me all the time. I only feel alive talking about this because we are law. We are law, period.
Right.
And that's from the divine, as above, so below. We need to understand that it is the same. So I'm not going to rant. I appreciate you guys.
As above, so below. We're talking polarities. That's absolutely correct. And that's exactly what is represented with the astrological energies and signs. The polar reflection is the same. So you look at Gemini, communicating, talking, a lot like that. Yeah, from Sagittarius, that is. Right, and that's what it's all about. It's really only 6, and the polar reflection.
Right.
As above, so below. Yes, ma'am.
Talking about reflection, what would you think about with Gemini being directly across from Sagittarius, knowing that Jupiter rules Sagittarius and Mercury rules Gemini? I have Jupiter in Gemini and Mercury in Sagittarius, so they're flipped, even in that extreme.
That's an absolute reflection, and just to throw another thing on there, the houses and the study of astrology and the psychology of it and the application of it in the human experience is layered and layered and layered.
Right, it's an unfoldment.
Gemini being the house of, the house of communications, and your basic communication skills or lack thereof. It represents your immediate siblings, family, neighborhood, whereas when you go to the polar reflection Sagittarius, on this particular layer, it represents the extended knowledge, learning, extended family members such as your mate's family, your in-laws, and long travels as opposed to short travels that Gemini represents. So all of that is wrapped up in it. So, yeah, anybody who has a polar reflection, like sun and moon, polar reflected or whatever, they're able to quote-unquote fix things within themselves without a lot of external assistance. They're able to reflect because, remember, and Prophet Numbers, you already said this man's business is about reflection, and that is in everything we do. What you do comes back to you. You know what I mean? How you see things, that's the reflection, as above, so below. It's all there. So
right. That's why I said in the beginning that if we all really look back at our past, that it is really all prophecy. It is the direct reflection, because even me engaged in this conversation and dialogue with you, I would have to say this has been coming along all this time, and I can say, well, even if it's the contract I signed to get, and this is how I wrote it out, and this is what's going to happen, I'm saying thank you for.
and you know what? You said that, and it just came to my mind. Dealing with the reflections and the polarities, you're absolutely right, because as an example, whatever your polar reflection is, like say Aries, Libra, like a person may end up, Aries is like someone that's kind of like about self-preservation. There's nothing wrong with that. We all need that. But to an extended level, if a Libra being about others, but if a Libra has not, as you said, reflected and grown into themselves, looking back, reflecting, they may be a Libra with the Aries tendencies of being selfish as opposed to being united. You see what I'm saying? Because they haven't developed that yet. So,
and
because
I remember,
they're all it's the same energy, just different ends of the different ends of the stick, if you will, or polarity. That's it. What side of the pole are you on? So, yes, you're right. It is all about reflection. It's all about developing. You're going to be you're going to have to go through all of those energies in order to combine them, moderation and balance. That's what it's really all about, meeting right there in the middle.
Right, and with you saying that, I know I have to balance the water simply because in my chart, right where Cancer is, I have a respiratory issue that I've had almost all my life, but only recently being able to connect that and say, oh, okay, so what is that about? And, and my brother is a Cancer.
Gemini handles upper respiratory, too.
Okay.
Cancer is, right. A lot of people, that go straight across, and it deals with upper respiratory, just as Cancer deals with respiratory. So that's something to look at.
Okay.
All right.
Well, that was beautiful. That was great. And you're right about me overanalyzing, because now I'm overanalyzing about my name change. I'm like, wait a minute, let me chase that. Oh, no. My son is like, how about Sarahi? It means princess in some. And I'm like, Sarahi? That's cute. So, but he was like, I'm going to name my daughter that. And I'm like, well, I'm not going to take your daughter's name. I'll let you keep that, So, but yeah, I'll have to figure that out. And I want to say thank you all for everything. And Cujo, Assistant Meta World Peace, thank you so much for that. You always have things and put them right back in perspective for us, So I want to say kudos to Cujo.
I don't know if he's still on the line, but we'll make sure. Is he there? He usually does that.
I'm sure.
He'll get your message.
That's fine. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right.
All right.
Peace and love.
All right. All righty. The board is really looking crazy. Let me look at it. Are you in? Let me see. Caller 843-430. You're live on the air. Please state your appellation at Northwest Maximum. Caller 843-430.
Islam. This is Jonathan, caller from Northwest Maximum.
Islam.
I was just calling in just to show support. I really appreciate what you guys are doing. Bring a light into darkness, and that's it. That's all I had to say.
All righty. Thank you so much for the call.
All right, thanks.
All right, peace.
Peace.
Where, Thank you for your call. All right, well, that concludes this broadcast, with the board acting crazy and everything. But we thank you so much for joining us today. And make sure and join us tomorrow at 7:30 for Moorish Heritage and History School near Harlem Corporation at Northwestern Maximum. And, of course, back here Tuesday again for another installation at 9:30. And we shall see you. Oh, wait a minute. I think, is this the weekend for Sisters Standing on Law? I certainly hope not. But it is.
No,
yes,
it is.
Oh, because it's the 21st. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to push Sisters Standing on Law. We're going to push it back to the 28th because, we got so much that we have to catch up on. So we're going to push Sisters Standing on Law back to the 28th. So we shall see you tomorrow, next week, Tuesday, and Thursday we got Sons of Allah. All righty, peace and love to all. Islam. Yes.
Our problem is lack of knowledge and the intended deceit and trickery done, because even those who read the bibliotext that you call the Bible says he shall fool even the most believe. So even those who think they're highly educated and this and that, they've been fooled. That's it. It's not really complicated.
It's the miseducation of the Negro. Everybody knows it to those who need to know. It's the miseducation of the Negro. When we rise from the dead, they call us Pharaoh. It's the miseducation of the Negro. Everybody knows it to those who need to know. It's the miseducation of the Negro. When we rise from the dead, they call us Pharaoh. The gods are back. The Moors are strapped. We waking up. And we want our land back, running off, that's a trap. You know them guys don't like that. Waking up from a nap, like where the hell my crown at? Take a step back, like I know this bitch ain't bite back. It's kinda crazy how this karma it strikes back. We enslaved Islam, so they slaved us right back. We called them niggas, then they nigga this right back. We brought them to light, but they ain't bring that right back. If I was lazy, dirty dancing with the baby, then just maybe won't revolt like Haiti. I too smart, Lova, Tor, Marcus, Garvey, your ass. Nova, Julia, our leading God, body the man. Now I ain't gotta be bad, and you ain't gotta be mad, but the planet is heating up, so the first I'll be last. I got that melanin that's better than anything you ever medicine. We at your front door, wonder why you never let us in. Oh, I get it, you never wanted to put some credits in. Well, just forget it, cause I don't know if you can edit sin. We've been enlightened long before Thomas Edison. Skeletons to prove that you wasn't even relevant. In the Caucasus Mountains, cause the sun was your deficit. Captain Caveman with the plan of the Jesuits. Check my bloodline, but in time I bring the evidence. Self-governing body, so I don't need no president. Democrat, Republican, donkey versus elephant. I studied in law, so I ain't down with none of that. I self-law and master, so I'm running that. This Molotov cocktail burns faster, so I like the match. Despite the fact that ain't even what I'm mad at. I spit the truth, so here's the roof so you can hear that. My skin is brown and here's the proof, but you ain't hearing that. Said in the eyes of the law, that's why they call you black. Naming all caps when you fall, that's why I strike back. And strike that from the record ab initio. You gon' need more than some pressure, I got a vicious flow. I can take the road to the high, or I can hit them low. Try to calcify my third eye, oh you gon' have to go. Chemtrails all over the sky, and you don't wanna know. Dog on inside of my tribe, they coming no more.
If you believe that that your history started on a slave boat, I can guarantee you that's where it ended too. That's what I'm saying. Then, after saying that, and so believe me, go back and do some studies past the 1700s, and I'll guarantee you, sure as you're sitting there listening or wherever you are, watching, listening, you will find nothing but the word Moor. And that's another thing. Because we weren't called black. That description, maybe, black or Moor or whatever, but that's it. Know the difference between a description and an actual, person, place, or thing, noun. I mean, really.
It's the miseducation of the Negro. Everybody knows it, to those who need to know. It's the miseducation of the Negro. When we rise from the dead, they call us Pharaoh. It's the miseducation of the Negro. Everybody knows except those who need to know. It's the miseducation of the Negro. When we rise from the dead, they call us Pharaoh. From the pyramids to the project, the beginning is the part they want you to forget. Implant your memory with that noose around your neck. It's the King Alpha plan and it's set in full effect. The butler, the help, and 12 years a slave. Django and Selma, they get them accolades. They made a movie called Exodus about the gods and kings with an all-white cast from Egypt. Now that's a shame. They ain't never seen no movie about no European slaves. We were traveling the seas when they was living in caves. We had to civilize them, show them how to behave. In fact, we brought them light and taught them how to bathe. This is trading places with stolen identity. We agreed to be educated by our own enemy. Reverse psychology, I'ma need a lobotomy. An exorcism just to get this shit up out of me. Roz Mariah, Anna Eve, Miss Raheem, Tariq, Cujo from Cannonland. Listen to them speak. I done learned from the best. I don't need no DNA test. The nations in my womb has given from the breast. The empire's back, so you know what's next. The Moors are waking up, now you must confess. Yes, yes. The Moors are waking up, now you must confess.
Birthright theft. The whole deal was, where's my land that, for them? The whole deal was, this is really quote-unquote promised land. This is really the quote-unquote heart of civilization. This is really what you might call Northwest Africa. That's what, and I say that to people so they can stop saying I'm going back to Africa and understand that they're in it. It's the Garden of Eden.
That's what they had in Columbus's journal that they arrived
Absolutely.
in Eden.
So what has happened is absolute lies. That's right. And the land of milk and honey is another terminology. So these things are important because as you're doing studies, and if it says the land of milk and honey, you need to know they're talking about the North American continent. If you don't know that, then you miss it. And that's part of our problem. That part of our problem is the miseducation. We have been lied to, lied to, lied to, lied to, lied to, lied to.
There are lots of things you can spend your tax refund on, but one thing you don't have to spend it on, a new smartphone. Switch to Metro PCS now and get not one, but 2 free 4G LTE smartphones for brands like Samsung and LG. Plus, you're on T-Mobile's blazing fast nationwide 4G LTE network. Hurry! Switch to Metro PCS and get 2 free smartphones after instant rebate.